going on, guys? We're doing our first ever live post-game report as we head to somewhere else we got to be. Otherwise, we would have done it live from the stadium itself. However, a massive, massive, massive surprise in this game as UB dismantles the Chippewas 37-13, I believe it was.
37-13, yep.
That was the final score. Realistically, the offense, the stats are going to say they had a great day. And in all honesty, they didn't have a whole hell of a great day. Sorry about the screen vibrating. That is. They did an okay job, and they did garbage time touch. Fourth and goal from the half-yard line. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean,
what are we doing
at that point, especially, you want to see a little bit of aggressive. Again, you're going to pin them deep even if you don't get it. Right. So
right.
You're pinning them deep. You're taking an advantage either way. But given how the team had looked and knowing you had to come out aggressive and score early and often against them, that seemed like a great opportunity too.
It really did.
I mean, it worked out either way for us, but yeah. Again, if in a game like this, it's going to be difficult to pick and choose certain things that you didn't like. But listen, I'm more than happy to enjoy this win. It was a much needed win. It was one against the team that I honestly thought we were better matched against. I thought it was going to be a lot closer than it was.
You said before the game that you believed it was going to be a toss-up of a game.
Yeah.
Which, okay, I can roll with that. Yeah. I thought this was one of the games that, again, UB had a chance to potentially win. However, again, I had them pegged for like maybe 3 wins on the whole season for the most part, just based off of the way they played in their first 4 games. But realistically, the defense in these last 2 games has been incredible, absolutely incredible. They have really, really clamped things down. And I asked Mark during the game, I said, I don't know if it is a bad thing because of how bad the Buffalo's defense got shredded in non-conference play, like if it's a detriment to the the reputation of offenses in the Mid-American Conference, or just the fact that UB knows their opponents a little bit better in MAC play, so they are able to kind of make more plays. I mean, realistically, I don't know, but they have been very, very, very good in these 2 Mid-American Conference games, holding both of their opponents to 10 points and 13 points, respectively. It is actually kind of crazy to think about, considering coming into these 2 games, the Bulls were giving up over 44 points per game. They were giving up over 44 points per game. And the fact that they have locked their last 2 opponents down to 10 points and 13 points, respectively, in their last 2 games, incredible. Simply incredible.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't look awesome versus Akron. Obviously, they won by a field goal in overtime. Akron's one of the worst teams in the MAC.
In the Mid-American Conference.
At least one of the bottom 4. At least bottom 4.
Yes, there's no question.
So while we won, I didn't come away with like some kind of great confidence.
Definitely not. I was happy we won, but again, that's not.
This was more of a statement win for them because again, you're facing the second-ranked MAC West team.
Right.
And the way that they came out playing the last couple of games, CMU, I was coming away convinced that this was going to be, like, I figured you can get up to 30 points, but it was going to be 30 points both ways. Yeah. I thought it was going to be a tight game. I wasn't sure that we were going to completely come out on top. I did pick CMU to win, but they were just uncharacteristically bad.
They were very bad.
There was receivers dropping passes. There was that one that was just wide open, hit him in the chest, and just they were just uncharacteristically awful today. And I think that played a role in it. Andrew said when they came out, they didn't look like they had any energy. They didn't seem like they wanted to really be there. They didn't know that they were in the moment there.
Yeah, out of the locker room, usually teams come out, they run on the field, they try to get themselves real hyped up. Central Michigan kind of just walked slowly out of the locker room, and it didn't, in all honesty, they just didn't look prepared in any way, shape, or form to play this game.
They just weren't ready to match the energy of UB.
And I was right in that sense. They were not ready to play UB in this game, and it really did show on the scoreboard. And it showed in the plays that Mark was talking about, the fact that they had just so many missed opportunities downfield. Their receivers were dropping an incredible amount of pass. It's crazy, wide open. They were wide open dropping passes.
And shout out to the UB defensive front.
They were getting pressure.
Listen, they were not even just pressure. I'm thinking of the run game in particular.
Yes.
We had complained often about how it just seemed like there was a giant gap somewhere in the middle of that defensive front.
Correct.
That people just seemed to you could have ran a Mack truck through.
Right.
And today they just completely shut down. They shut down the run game to the point where, and the defense and the offense got so far ahead that they didn't have a choice. They had to basically abandon the run game as well.
Yeah.
So shout out to UB
and their defensive front.
Yeah, for tightening up.
Yeah, like I said, their defense was stout for sure, and it was a very impressive performance from the defense.
Yep.
Grant, again, he has, my goodness, 2 pick sixes.
He's really stepped into the role that was used.
Yep.
And other veterans that we had, he's playing every bit the part of one of UB's top 5 recruits.
Absolutely. He looks
he is a playmaker, and he's
recruit.
Only just getting started. He got spots last year where he came in and he made plays, but this is really his first year as being
the guy.
Yeah. And he didn't start out as the starter. He was behind Demetrius Harris, I believe.
Yeah.
And you had him and Fuqua, and once Grant started going, he's the man in that backfield now, especially with Fuqua. He's done after this year.
Yeah.
He's going to go pro. So Grant's the future in that defensive backfield. He's the future leader of that defensive backfield, and he stepped up. Stepped up big time, and he's definitely ready. He's ready.
This might be his breakout season. He had a pick earlier this year that looked like it could have been a pick 6 against Wisconsin. However, he tripped over his own 2 feet. He did have 2 pick sixes in this game. And like I said, he had another interception earlier in the season too, I believe.
Yeah.
He's really starting to show out that like Mark said, he is easily one of your best. He is one of your best DBs moving forward, and it is really fun to watch now, UB, and see how they've progressed. I can't believe I'm sitting here talking about saying that. Look, we got to give credit where credit is due. Okay, the coaching staff, although I'm still not a huge fan of the coaching staff.
Hey, we're live again.
Oh, hey, we're out in and out. That's what happens when you drive and try to do a live show.
Hey, it's live, baby. It's live.
Hey, but this win against Central Michigan, as I said, far, far more impressive than the win against Akron. The Bulls really, I don't want to say they dominated in all 3 phases, but they were a lot better in all 3 phases. It wasn't just the defense in this game. Again, the offense, they scored 2 touchdowns, got 3 field goals also.
Yep.
They were able to contribute also. They were good enough. Yeah. That's probably the best way to describe them in this game.
Yeah. They didn't make any big mistakes.
Right.
the offensive play calling and how the offense function may have not have been dynamic today, but they did enough to help progress the team forward against a team that, had they caught any momentum, could have easily turned this into a tighter game. And they made no mistakes, no big mistakes, no turnovers. They weren't leaving any real huge plays out on the field. Whatever plays there were to make, they made enough of them.
Right.
And I really want to shout out the younger players that have really stepped in, like Khalil Red Murdoch, who stepped in with Sean Dolak's absence.
He played really well.
Yeah. MacArthurans, who's a freshman, who's been starting the last few games on the boundary, has looked great.
Really good.
You're not just seeing the team as a whole, but you're seeing individuals and young players.
Right.
Guys who have not started before, who weren't slated to start, stepping up and filling roles and making plays where there needs to be plays made. And I'm that's the kind of stuff, because the biggest thing about Coach Mo has been the recruiting.
Right.
For everything that could be criticized about him, his staff, the recruiting has been the best UB's ever seen.
Has been on point, and they have been the recruits.
We've started to see that translate to the field.
In terms of their overall ratings and what they're rated on websites like 247sports.com, that's what we're saying as far as highly rated recruits. Mo has done an incredible job, a job that I don't know if many other coaches are going to be able to come in here and do. However, what we hadn't seen is the production on the field from these guys, and we're starting to see it these last couple games. We're starting to see that production from these highly rated recruits that Mo has brought in, and that could be the turning point in how UB moves forward. If they can continue to get these kind of results from their highly rated guys like they weren't getting earlier, like last year and earlier this year, the Bulls might be able to salvage their season. And, if they keep winning in the MAC, maybe even play for a MAC title. They are currently 2-0 in the Mid-American Conference. And, that sun is bright, boy. They are currently 2-0 in the Mid-American Conference. And, when it comes to the conference championship, conference play is all you really need. So as long as they keep playing the way they have against Akron and against Central Michigan, the Bulls are a force to be reckoned with. Again, want to see a little bit more out of Snyder there. I think he threw for just around 230 yards. He did have a couple scrambles. One of the plays that they need to absolutely get rid of completely is any sort of actual designed QB runs with Cole Snyder. Those don't work. Yeah. Not even a little bit. He's
Cole making plays when things break down around him and able to get up the field.
He's athletic enough to do that.
Yeah, that's where he excels at.
Right.
Unfortunately, and this is the one thing we've talked about often, is that what's missing and what's working against UB is not having that dual threat quarterback. Cole, like we said, he's athletic enough to make plays when things break down. He can get up the field, salvage a play when things aren't going the way they plan. Like there was a big run he had today that the pocket collapsed down around him. He shot the gap. He got about 20 yards on that play.
Right. And that was, that is what
he's not a quarterback that you can technically design runs for.
No, nor should he be.
And that was the bugaboo. And I think that's one of the things that saved UB today was that Bert Emanuel Jr. wasn't available.
Playing. Correct.
So the athletic quarterback has been an Achilles heel for this UB defense, and that's why we were thinking they might go double quarterbacks here and there, like they did versus Louisiana. Sprinkling C.J. Obagana every once in a while. Especially down near the goal line. You might want to you see that a lot in the CFL. Yeah. You've got two quarterbacks, and usually short yardage and goal line, you throw in the other quarterback that's the better runner.
Yeah.
I thought we might see stuff like that with CJ. That was one of the reasons that they brought him up here. We haven't really seen that much outside of the Louisiana game, but maybe that's something we'll see more in the future, because I think it's a wrinkle to this offense that really hasn't been utilized enough yet. But Bowling Green next week could be a trap game if they're not careful, because they're going to be riding high after this win today, and they need to keep that momentum, that energy going for Bowling Green, because if they're not careful, Bowling Green just beat Georgia Tech last week.
Oh, geez, yeah.
So if they're not careful, a team like Bowling Green, that I felt, when I was predicting the outcome of this season, was a team they should be able to beat. If they're not careful, they can sneak up on them.
Yeah, again, I just, as the season goes on, I really still want to see more from this offense. Here's the one thing, I mean, there's a couple things missing from this offense, realistically. I think the one thing that is missing most is probably the fact that there is no bona fide number one receiver.
Although an argument could be made, it's Harding, but he's just not seeing enough.
It could be Harding, however, coming into this game, I believe it was Marlon Johnson who led the team in receiving yards, and it was Cole Harity who led the team in receptions.
Yeah.
So, there is no the ball gets spread around a ton. Something else I would like to see them utilize more, since Cole Snyder seems to be so proficient in throwing it in the middle of the field, more proficient in the middle of the field than he seems to be throwing it to the outside, is utilize their tight ends more. That's something that you talked about before.
We've been clamoring for that since, I think, probably Mason Schreck.
They have
was a tight end here.
They have three very, very good tight ends, and they're part of this very good recruiting class, and it's like they don't want to use them ever.
Outside of blocking,
it's like they don't want to use them in the passing game at all.
Also, Jacob Orlando was injured, so he's been out, and he's probably been their primary tight end target. But I mean,
even still, they don't use their tight end.
I feel like, again, to Drew's point, given Snyder's tendency to look for the middle of the field, especially, again, you work the middle of the field with Cole Harity, you could do the same thing with your tight ends. And they should have enough talent between Cameron Ball, Jacob Orlando, and Zion Carter that they should be able to use these, especially red zone.
Right. You got these big body guys, and you're not drawing up plays that are going to benefit these guys and get them open.
That's the one thing that's not just been missing from a Mo Linguist team. You haven't seen a tight end really come up since probably Zach LaFave.
Yeah.
He was probably the most recent tight end that really stood out in the passing game.
Yeah.
But again, you're going back a little while there. You're going back to probably the beginning of Lance Leipold's tenure.
You're going back a couple years, that is for sure.
So it's one of those things that you'd like to see more of. I'd like to, honestly, I'm also been pleasantly surprised by Barksdale. He's a JUCO transfer running back.
Yep.
He's been doing well coming in.
In his opportunities, he has done.
Yeah.
He has done very well. I do like him. I want to see a little bit more, especially, and maybe it's just because, you're trying to give your seniors the little bit of a, the farewell tour or whatever the case may be. But I would like to see a little bit more of the highly rated running backs that you brought into this program, especially if you're up by, at one point you were up 37-7. This is the time you got to sprinkle in these guys. This is the time that you, like I said, bring these guys in and get them acclimated to the speed and the size of a lot of these guys in Division I. It's not
a huge issue, but these are those little coaching decisions, between the timeouts taken in opportune times,
2 timeouts,
and when you're up and you're not playing backups, you're not you're clearly winning the game. There's no question. There's no fear about anyone gaining ground on you. The game's in hand. I don't know why some of these backups aren't getting put in just to get them some time. Plus, do you really want to risk injury to your starters so early? If there's no need for them to be in there, take them out.
Absolutely.
There's just get some guys some playing time. Let them see some live action. I mean, again, that would have been a great time to see. Henderson got sprinkled in a little bit towards the end, but again, Washington, Cook, Barksdale all saw plenty plenty of plays throughout the game. That's when I'm taking them out. I'm bringing in Sperling. I'm bringing in Henderson. I want to get to Obama. I was waiting to see him come in and see some action. Like, I don't need certain guys out there anymore when I'm up by 30 points. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, so those are those little coaching decisions that have bugged us about Coach Mo and his tenure here.
Yeah,
I don't want to complain and sound like
the game flow.
We're beating a dead horse, especially after a huge win today.
Yeah,
but
the game flow for Coach Mo.
We don't like to ignore these things either. They're just There's always something to look at, even when you've got a big win like this. There's always something that you can improve or correct and get better at. Yeah. And these are those things, like, not just on the field, but on the sidelines from a coach's perspective.
Right.
That we'd like to see things change from play calling and everything else. Like, especially when you get later on in the season, like, we've seen it time and again, especially in Coach Mo's tenure, that right around now they hit some kind of stride. They look like they're doing awesome. They're winning games, and they look good winning games. Like, they're getting contributions from everywhere.
And then
all of a sudden they hit some kind of November skid. And then
November wall.
Yeah, they fall apart, and
it's happened both of the first 2 years.
Any confidence you had or hope that you had in the season and thinking, oh, they're about to take it to the next level and go to take the next step, it all falls apart. And then they barely came away with a bowl bid last year.
Yeah, that was...
They can't do that. They've got to hit the ground running today.
Yeah, the only reason why they got a bowl bid last year, and that's the crazy part, the only reason why they got a bowl bid last year was because there were not enough bowl-eligible teams, and Buffalo just barely, and I mean just barely, got that 6th win that made them bowl-eligible and put them in a bowl game against their former quarterback in Kyle Van Treese last year in Georgia Southern. But again, just
it's a long season. These next couple games, I'm hoping, will help pad the one side of their schedule and say, all right, we're going to get a win against Bowling Green. We might be able to get a win the following week, but we got a couple road games coming up. But it's that end of the season where you got Miami, Ohio, and then you got Ohio. Like, and they're your division leaders right now. Those are the two that are ahead of you. So it's crucial that you not just get through the rest of the season healthy, but you better be going into those games not desperate for wins, because those are your tough games.
Those are going to be the games that are going to...
Yeah, those are the games that you're going to be looking to grind out, because those are going to be the deciding factors, again, because they're divisional opponents too at that. So if you're looking to stamp your date with destiny in Detroit, you need to finish strong.
You need to not just finish strong, you need to continue to play strong throughout the entirety of MAC play. There cannot be any hiccups, especially with the fact that you went 0-4 in non-conference play, and you were dangerously close to going 0-4 in non-conference play last year also. I don't know. It's the first time they started 0-4 since 2005, I think I said. But it has been a nice little rebound the last couple weeks. What were the final some of the final stats in this game for both of these teams?
Let's take a look here.
Just so you know, I know where I'm going right now. So the map is less important.
Fantastic. We'll get rid of that then.
Yeah, the map is less important right now.
As long as Andrew doesn't lose us anywhere.
I might lose us just so I can talk to you guys some more.
All right.
Let's look up the final stats so that we can kind of give you guys what we were seeing out there. We said that they did have a a decent offensive ability. Okay, so time of possession for both teams, Buffalo had the slight edge with 32 minutes to the Chippewas, 27 minutes. The total yards was almost dead even. Buffalo had 355, and the Chippewas had 360. However, about 50 to 100, I wouldn't say 100, but like 50 to 75 of the yards for the Chippewas did come in garbage time, so that That will play into the fact that they had 360 yards. The defense was, like we said before, was lights out. Passing yards first, it was 280 for Central Michigan to 232 for Buffalo. Rushing yards, Buffalo actually outrushed the Chippewas 123 to 80, which is a huge surprise because, as I said in one of my vlog videos, or in the vlog video that will be coming out in a couple of days here, or probably tomorrow if I can get that going. Oh, I almost fucked the turn up. Sorry, guys. In a day or two, the Chippewas are usually a run-first team, and Buffalo was able to just stymie their run all game long. This is the big number. Penalties, but not this one. The penalties were 6-5.
Actually, before we did penalties, they hit about their average. They've been averaging about 6 penalties for 60-plus yards a game. Mm-hmm. They hit 5 penalties today, but over the course of the game, they were very well disciplined. They weren't making these egregious penalties that cost them yardage, took away big plays. They looked a lot better in that aspect.
Yes,
so I want to give kudos to them for playing a lot more soundly today than they had in the past.
They did look a lot more disciplined in this game than they had in the previous few games. You might have to bring that address back up again because I think I passed it. But that's okay. I'll just turn around.
See, he kept his promise.
I told you. But yeah, it's just in the game too, the turnover battle was crushed by UB. They had 4 turnovers, and they didn't turn the ball over at all. The offense didn't turn the ball over at all, and the defense forced 4 turnovers.
2 of which were pick sixes.
What? Oh, no. We're going down. Sorry. 2 of which were pick sixes. And, the defense was just, they were flying around all game long. And as I said before, I really, really, really believe that if Sean Dolak does come back, Murdoch has earned himself more playing time. However, if Dolak does come back, Andreessen 1,000% should be their middle linebacker, yep. And Dolak should be their outside linebacker moving forward. It just seems like that will work so much better. And that's how it was last season when Dolak was an absolute force and an All-American. And I think that they need to switch back and kind of go back to something like that when he is healthy. Overall, like I said, though, the Bulls just absolute tons and tons of pressure. tons and tons and tons of pressure on Bauer all day long. Yeah. And it was a sight to see. They didn't get a lot of sacks. They, however, did force him into a lot of bad throws, which is why there was a lot of pick sixes, or a lot of picks. They also were laying the wood in this game. And I mean laying the wood. They were smoking the other team, flying around and absolutely crushing them, which is, again, what was forcing a bunch of turnovers in this game. Oh, like I said, we said this before, overall, very, very good game, very strong game by UB. And, just happy that they were able to pleasantly surprise us with a very, very solid win to help make our day just that much more pleasant.
Yeah, now we're going to cap off our day by going to try to buy a bunch of meat at a discount.
We're going to go finish our day with a meat raffle. So you guys have a good day. Thanks for watching us. Have a good week.
Go Bulls!